Dynamite Download. Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling should feel like.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
No Mariah May,
my real story does connect with a lot of people.
That you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
And with the loss of Brody, I feel like we were just kind of a little bit directionless.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
Raw horse.
Raw horse?
Oh my god!
Amazing.
I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
You said that in front of the voice of a generation?
Awesome.
This podcast is, quite frankly, the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
They spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
What up?
What is up, everybody? Great to be back in the saddle. It's been a busy few weeks of lots of shows in our queue. Been a lot of fun, a lot of great wrestling. Welcome to episode 175 on the push to 200, man. I should look at the calendar and see what would the odds be if 200 landed on like all in,
Let's see, 200.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, so I'm counting our preview shows as numbered episodes too. So how many weeks away? Because our preview shows count as an episode and other ones count as episodes. So we're live, other than the Collision Control Center, because that's a separate season of stuff.
If we count the preview shows, we could be nailing it right there at 200. We might be celebrating 200 in Texas, because if it's okay, it's 25 shows after this. This is the 13th. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's 17 plus our preview shows, so it's going to be close. Yeah. We'll see.
Well, either way, that's a great accomplishment to be pushing to that far there. But off the heels of Revolution, still simmering on that one. I feel like that was definitely one of my favorite pay-per-views AEW has put together in a while.
Tremendous.
And it was tremendous. I mean, top to bottom, everything about it. I just loved the flow of it, everything that came out of it, a lot of feel-good moments as well, and some really unique storylines that we're going to get. And I'm glad we're still getting some of the ones still planted, as we saw last night, and then some new ones moved on. I'm happy with the biggest thing was I was happy that the Kenny Omega and the Will Ospreay saga has now seems like officially moved on from the Don Callis family. And so that one I felt is good. I'm really curious of the booking after Revolution, even though he wasn't really part of the show, of where Hobbs is going to go. The women's division, now we're seeing the continuation of the dominance of Megan Baines. Clearly she is trying to claim her top dog spot in the women's division. But a lot happened last night. But before we dive in, as we always do to start the show, welcome everybody in the chat. The chat's lively right now. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's see where we're at after last night's Dynamite, the standings of our fantasy draft season 5, where we are standing at.
All right.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to you. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to everyone. We bring the boom. Your favorite father and son.
Every afternoon on your FYP.
You there?
We'll be bringing the boom around 3:15.
We bring the boom so loud the whole earth shakes.
With double chunk chocolate cookies.
And chicken bakes.
And at the top, this is, of course, as of last night, as of Dynamite, Steven is still holding on to that first place position with 30. briefly tied with SPD as we came out of Revolution, but he was able to jump ahead again with an awesome Dynamite. SPD 28. You see, that's what happens when you win the bingo. Anything can happen. Of course, Brian and Courtney tied for third place. I'm bringing up the rear at fourth on the left side. And then look at the battle on the right. Bobby versus Full Tilt Deb. And Full Tilt Deb is tied with Brent, the Generalissimo. There's a big mosh pit going on. And then, of course, there's Cray with 17. Man, this is a battle royale. It's going crazy.
We still got 10 weeks plus one pay-per-view of the draft. So plenty. Yes, putting up a fight, and we are definitely going to be a slugfest on the way to the end. But there wasn't a lot of wrestling last night, as you can tell with the very few addition points that we saw in our draft. But the card was, kind of like last minute thrown together in a sense of what we're I love that photo on the left there.
Yeah,
if you don't know who it is, that's Harley Graham for sure. She's incognito. If she's not going to be in the ring, she's going to be featured some essence. And I love just like her getting just plucked in any random spot. But last minute addition to AEW was the international title tournament for Dynasty. And I was looking at, Dynasty was the time between both pay-per-views is only 4 weeks, and that is such a short amount of time. And I'm a sucker for tournaments. I do love tournaments. I think it makes it so much more meaningful. I could definitely, with the long hair, I could definitely pose as an SPD Graham. Maybe I'll get a hologram mask next time I go to one of the events, just for the heck of it, just to throw it on the show and do some segments.
And the Beast Mind Runner.
And I like that they're bringing back the home countryness of this belt in and showcasing it more. And I feel like they haven't really done that. And I think when they have matches for the belt or for this tournament, they should announce, from Mexico, from Canada, from United States, like Justin Roberts should announce that. And so it's almost kind of like Olympic style stuff like that because of the belt's importance of being an international title belt. But this tournament, the competitors, now I would have liked to see this go to one-on-one match, but a fatal four-way for the title shot is also going to be very compelling too. So a lot can happen. Those always can be pretty chaotic. What do you make of the competitors on this?
Well, I do like, of course, we have two of the results there. I thought Orange Cassidy and Hechicero. I'm a fan of Hechicero. I think he's compelling. Of course, how I feel about Orange Cassidy versus all the haters out there. I love that Ricochet is in this, and I love that we're he was my second favorite to win, but my favorite is Wildcard. I think Wildcard from the land of Wildcardonia is my favorite to win. Of course, we're not talking about just any old wild card person. We're talking about this guy right. I can't believe I have it so far down. This guy right here was announced as the wild card, and what a great debut. If you're going to debut against Beast Mortos, what an incredible debut. But I think I really like to see Mike Bailey. There are those of you that aren't familiar with this guy, he is on level with like the Ray Phoenixes and Will Ospreys out there. He's one of the few wrestlers that was able to wrestle why can't I think of her name? Again, this liquid diet's killing me. He's one of the few that wrestled the Yokoshima, I think it is. She's the wrestling doll in Japan, and that's like an incredible honor. And he's one of the few that's been able to do that. Kenny Omega has done that. Will Ospreay, and I would like to see Mike Bailey, and I'd love to see a Mike Bailey versus Ricochet match, and I'd like to see how that be a feud. So I'm pumped about this. I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Let's talk about that match too, because we haven't officially posted our top performers of the night, and Mindrunner will get to his once we get to that portion of it. But I was going back between two people, and SPD's top performer of the night is Speedball Mike Bailey. Not just because of the debut, but I'm excited to see what he has to offer, because like you just mentioned, I have not done too much research or known much about him other than the superficial stuff that we've been seeing as of late, and the video packages that have been surfacing around since he's been a free agent, and what you've shown me, and all of the stuff that he's been doing or he did in this ring was uber impressive.
Yeah.
On top of the barefoot wrestling is just insane to me. The barefoot wrestling, like the flips and where he's landing on his feet, I'm like cringing. I'm like, damn, because like how supportive shoes and stuff can be. And Taz did a great job talking about that. But on top of the offense that we just saw, he took brutal offense from Beast Mordos, who looked like $1 million again. Like Beast Mordos continuing to like look so great, and hopefully one day he just starts to turn it around and turn it up. Which I have a question for you a little bit later in the show.
Yeah,
kind of that piggybacks off of Beast Mordos, but the speedball presentation, I liked it, and I'm curious to where it's going to go. And I'm obviously Ray Phoenix leaving AEW. If you're comparing him to that, he's going to be an instant SPD fan favorite because Ray Phoenix was SPD's favorite wrestler in AEW for a long time, and I'm sad to see him go, but happy for whatever next chapter of his life he's doing. So Speedball, I know it's high hopes for him and high expectations.
Absolutely. And what I love about Speedball is he is that flippy do guy. He does all the flips and jumps and all that, but he also is a striker and a fast striker. And that's why I put him in up there with like a Ray Phoenix. He's got a great gimmick too. And I don't know if Janai Kai, those of you that know, Janai Kai might be suing him for gimmick infringement, but he has those rapid fire kicks that are just incredible. And I just, the more I think we only got a glimpse of what he's capable of in this match with Beast Mortos. However, I go back to one of my favorite things about AEW is they don't bury the losers in a match. Like Beast Mortos still looked phenomenal, and there were a couple times where Beast Mortos could still have been the win. It looked like, if you didn't know any better, it looked like Beast Mortos could have gotten the 1, 2, 3. So both of them look great. I thought this was a great first debut match for him. This is how you debut somebody that you want to push. I hope we keep the rockets launched to him. I would love to have it be Ricochet versus him at some point. I wouldn't mind. I know he's new, but it would be pretty cool to see him and Kenny for the title at Dynasty. So we'll see.
I guess we'll have to talk about it maybe on the Collision Control Center hot take or anything like that. But the final four of like who would you want his opponent to be? Kenny Omega's. Would you want Orange Cassidy, Speedball Mike Bailey? Would you want Ricochet or Mark Briscoe? Those are, I think, the final four that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now,
you don't see Mike Davis winning? You don't think Mike Davis is going to win?
Mark Davis?
Yeah. Mark Davis.
No, Mark Davis is going to beat former Ring of Honor world champion Mark Briscoe. No, I mean, that would be pretty shocking.
He's going to get defeated by his own fashion. That's what he's
anyway. This match was great. Speedball Mike Bailey, welcome to AEW, top performer of the night from SPD. Now, opening match, though, was a fantastic tag match. And I was going back and forth with, guess that's the trios, but let's talk about the tag match with the Powerhouse Hobbs and Hologram and Brian Cage and Driscoll. So, like, Brian Cage was my runner-up of top performer of the night because he had some amazing offense all night. Brian Cage was just on an absolute roll from everything he was doing, from the catch to hologram suplex outside to the over to the rope suplex on Powerhouse Hobbs, one of the biggest guys I've seen him do it, and he did it with ease. Total beast, badass moment from the machine Brian Cage. However, after that over the rope suplex, I feel like Hobbs was shaken up. I think he was a little, I don't know if you noticed that or not, but Hobbs was kind of like a little loopy. A couple moves were not as smooth as he was, and I felt like he was moving a little slower. So I feel like that suplex maybe knocked the screw loose or kind of slowed him down just a little bit. If you go back and rewatch it, I was like, oh, Hobbs and it wasn't just. I think he might have. I don't want to say got concussed, but I think he maybe got like knocked out for a hot
Got
second.
rattled a little bit.
He got rattled.
Yeah, but he still was able to execute when he turned. He grabbed Dralisco at the end and gave him that kind of quasi spine buster slam kind of thing at the end. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I look like Cage and Archer feuding with Hobbs. I think that might be pretty cool. I thought Brian Cage really stood out as, because he is somebody that can take on a hologram. He can somebody that can keep up with a Dralistico, even as big as he is. Hobbs is powerhouse Hobbs. He is what you get, what you hear. There's no gimmick around that. That is who he is. Marvel comic book fans, if you look at the upper right corner, I see Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
All right.
There. That's what I see. And I would love to see Hobbs dressed as Luke Cage and hologram is in an Iron Fist costume. But at some point, to me, that was, when I saw the two of them like this, I'm like, what I was hoping they would do, one of the classic things is I would have Hobbs throw hologram at Brian Cage. He almost did, but that they did one of my favorite things when you have a big guy in a flippy do guy is the jump off the pecs move. I thought that was great. The other thing that I am keeping my eye on, one of my favorite storylines in all of wrestling when I was a kid, was George the Animal Steele trying to woo Miss Elizabeth away from Macho Man. And if you remember those, because George the Animal Steele, he was kind of a damaged brain wrestler, pretty woman, he would eat the turnbuckles. So we kind of might be getting this a little bit with Beast Mortos and Harley Graham here. There was a moment where Beast Mortos, of course, was at ringside backing up Dralistico, and he went to attack a hologram, and Harley Graham comes to Hologram's rescue, and she kind of does a little, Shakira, my hips don't lie, does a little dance and enchants the Beast. And the Beast was clearly distracted. The Beast was feeling feelings he hadn't felt before. He was feeling the wrath. And I think that he was compelled. And of course, Dralisco had to snap him back. So I hope they keep this going. I think it'd be cool to see Harley wrestling down the line and the Beast Mortos come out with flowers or something and then get yelled at by LFI. I don't know. I want them to keep this going, but this is going to be very compelling.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm curious, she's just getting thrown into so many different kind of areas. What we saw at Revolution, and now I see with this Harley Graham for the second time. And so, as we have said, and I've seen posts online, protect her at all costs. Opening the show, Kenny Omega, it's bringing this up in the chat there, Brian. And it's because AEW is constantly listening to Dynamite Download, and Mindrunner has been saying this for week in and week out. And I've been kind of pushing back a little bit because of the tournaments that you get out of the Continental title. But rumors have it that the Continental and International titles are going to be possibly merged. Now, in the chat, would you like that? What do you think, Mindrunner? Would you like that, or do you think you keep it separate? I know we've had belt fatigue in AEW for a while, and I mentioned this last week. It doesn't feel as belt fatigue to me for some reason, and it feels a little bit because, I guess, out of sight, out of mind. No trios belts on TV. Technically, no visual world title belt on TV. So the Continental Classic and the International title, having them on those two guys, Okada and Kenny, I think is fine, and you could have that as a unification thing. I don't think it's necessary. I would support it because less is more, almost, in a sense. Because for a while it was like, you get a belt, you get a belt, you get a belt, and everyone gets a belt. And so, because you had all the Ring of Honor belts showcased on TV, and it was just over fatigued. But Kenny with the belt is going to be such an awesome ride, and I love the way he came out and signing autographs, taking photos with the fans, giving the people what they want. And this is the Kenny Omega, man, and his pyro. Oh my gosh, Kenny Omega's pyro to kick off the show. Give him the blank check. Give him the top dog, top star treatment at all times, because not only does he deserve it, but I mean, he's earned this spot. So please give him like the ridiculous pyro, great intros, as much time as he wants, and really the chance to shine and to remind us all why he is the best bout machine, as he's been doing for the last few weeks as upon his return.
Brent, the general brings a good point. He's kind of leading into what I was my response here to what you're gonna ask. Is he says that it's weird that the Continental, you can defend it outside the tournament, but then the tournament is every year, and there's always kind of in the shot at the world title. I like the I actually like the concept of the Continental Classic. However,
Yeah.
the General Lissimo makes a very good point. My thing is, the belts have got to have personality. There has to be a mythology to each of the titles. And what I mean by that is, you have your 2 world titles, your men's and women's. Then you've got the TBS and TNT title. Now, the mythology, a lot of times the belt usually takes on the persona of the person carrying it, and I get that. But I feel like if you get rid of the personalities and just have like certain rules for the titles, you make the AEW men's and women's title, that is the ultimate prize in AEW. Then you have your TNT and TBS title. Those are the TV titles specifically for those channels, and those should be defended a lot more frequently. Then you have, if you're going to have a continental or an international title, and I just want to specifically talk about the international title. The international title, I think, was starting off really awesome because it looked like Pac was defending it abroad. He was defending it in other countries. And I think that's what needs to happen. That title needs to go to New Japan, go to AAA, go to CMLL, go to United Kingdom, go to Australia, go to all these other promotions and defend the title in those other promotions, because you're doing 2 things. One, you're spreading more exposure of AEW, and it's a legit international title, but you're also giving these other promotions some spotlight and possibly drilling up future people that will feel a lot better about coming to AEW. But the Continental title, I think the Continental title, if you're going to keep them separate, then that should be, I don't know if that should be like, should that be allowed to be defended outside of the tournament? I don't know. I just think if you're going to combine them, then you got something going there. But I don't see it being an issue. But of course, as we know in the comments, sometimes we got to defer to the BR in the chat. You know what time it is. It is time for it.
By God, it's a super chat party.
I've actually got 2, so let's go old school.
Boom.
Super chat party! All right. Thank you so much, BR. We always appreciate the super chats. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's funny you brought that back, that old one back, one of my favorites. I miss the old Young Bucks, man. I was really hoping we'd see them at Revolution. Real quick on them, and I missed their old theme song. I don't really, the new one was not as nearly as good as the Super Chat or the Super Kick Party one. So I pleasantly was shocked we haven't seen them yet, because they wrestled around the New Year in New Japan, and obviously they're healthy, and I'm just like, maybe the timing's not right, but I'm so shocked that we did not see them. And so not only is AEW listening to Team Dynamite Download about the possible emergence of the titles, but my pitch on the preview show was to have the cross paths on the entrance ramp between Okada and Kenny, but they saved it for Dynamite with the cross paths with Shibata and Kenny. So this is kind of like looking at a crystal ball and seeing the future. Maybe this will be a match after Dynasty or what. I kind of would be shocked if Shibata beats Ricochet. I would think that's pretty maybe he steals a win and Ricochet just gets super pissed off and all that. So I don't know. I would be shocked if Ricochet did lose and Shibata moved on. So another thing that they are taking away from Dynamite Download on that, trios match, I still think that the Ops is next in line to get the trios titles. I think that would be great. We see that in Dynasty. I feel like, which we could talk about at the end of the show, of what's going to be happening on Dynamite next week, most likely the main event of the title shot. But throughout the show, this was just a jam-packed show of promos. And in typical, as of late, Dynamite fashion, I feel like we're getting more and more promos on Dynamite, more and more wrestling on Collision, which it's a good yin to the yang. And a lot of the promos really none of them were boring. None of them were slow or stale or anything like that. They all were very, very, very impactful, including this one. Speaking of titles, and Ospreay, I loved his, for those of us, obviously, Mindrunner, you and I are married men. We can almost relate to that. Like, if we've gone out or whatever, and you have you do certain stupid things or whatever, and you have these missed calls but I loved his heartfelt promo, his goals that he set. And I mean, man, the guy deserves it. The guy's been the backbone and workhorse of AEW the last few months. And if we can go to All In and have him be the main event at All In, whew, but if he is the main event All In, who do you think he'd be going against the title for?
Well, I think it might be, and boy, these slides are out of order. I apologize. This guy.
Wow.
I think there's a chance, or I think he might have to beat Switchblade Jay White in order to become the contender. So it's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing, because we've got a lot of people now staking their claim for the world title, because right now
MJF, Switchblade.
Yep, it's in Moxley's briefcase, but there's going to be a lot, and of course, even Christian.
That's true.
Because Christian definitely there he is. Christian was explaining the reasons why he was robbed of his victory, and his bratty, ungrateful son and Waffle House mom just did not see the light. They were clouded by propaganda.
So what did you think with about the Ospreay promo? Back to that one.
I thought the Ospreay promo was great. I thought it was a little bit long, but here's the thing. Just first of all, Ospreay is so stinking happy to be at AEW, and you can just it's genuine. He's not here for a paycheck. He is having the time of his life, and he just loves it. You saw him take his time coming down and greeting fans and high-fiving everybody. He's so stinking happy, and he's so excited. And yes, I am excited for him, what he's going to do at All In.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. Hopefully he's going to be at Norfolk, Virginia, when we represent there, when he comes by. But it's going to be really cool. He's always he's giving so much of himself to this program, but he is definitely worth the price of admission for any match that he's in.
Oh, 100%. He is definitely, there are very few players. There are very few wrestlers that you literally would just buy a ticket because their name's on the marquee or on the card. And Ospreay is definitely one of those wrestlers that anytime a match is advertised, you have to see it live, and it is 100% worth it. The yin to the yang would be the MJF promo. I feel like that one, surprisingly, he got a huge pop when he came out to the ring. And I was pretty shocked when I heard the Hurt Syndicate's music hit. And I liked the history lesson that MVP had with that and all that, and showing the growth and the respect. And then they hugged it out. But after the second offer, MJF ended up taking the MVP card. The first one he pushed away. Second one, he ended up taking it. What do you think of this promo, and what do you think's what's up with? What is your thoughts on the status of MJF at this moment?
It starts with the Hurt Syndicate because
We hurt people.
We hurt
We
people.
hurt
We
people.
hurt people. Are they babyface or are they a heel group that are over like a babyface? Like, do you
I
see
mean,
what I
how
mean?
can you have Chance nonstop and
Yeah.
be a heel?
And okay. When this happened, I actually am excited, and then I second guessed it. Now I'm kind of 50-50, but I like this idea, but I also think this could be an interesting feud. Like, because I mean, MJF versus the Hurt Syndicate and him having to bring in some people with him. But the Hurt Syndicate has always been a foursome. Cedric Alexander was the fourth in the Hurt Business. But I think adding MJF to the Hurt Syndicate would be compelling, but I think it would end up it would end just like MJF joining the Inner Circle.
Yeah, it's two chiefs, two
Yeah,
wolves trying to
two
fight for the head of the
fight for the
table.
mic. It's actually would be you almost don't want to have two good promo guys on the same faction.
No,
Because
I would never want these guys to be paired together just because of that, because the mesh of the Hurt Syndicate is so well. And MJ, I mean, at what point are they gonna either go all in and try to get extreme heel heat, or when are they gonna go all in and try to get babyface? Because putting them against the Outrunners was a smart decision to try to get the heel heat, and it didn't really work.
I think it backfired. I actually think it went the other
Backfired
way
for Outrunners.
Yeah, it made the Outrunners look like chumps, and I hate that because I thought they but if they went against the what are the puffy Pokemon wrestler guys,
Leo Rush
Leo
and Andretti.
Rush and Andretti, if the puffy shirt crew and destroyed them, that I think is much more compelling. I think.
Right. I'm curious where this goes. This one definitely has me scratching my head and wondering what's going to go from here. But I mean, we saw him confront Hangman in the back later on. What did you think of that part? Because that was
Fire is definitely going to be involved in this next back and forth. I thought this was really good. And I like that Hangman is kind of on a redemption arc here. Both of them really pointed out some good stuff. I'm glad this isn't over completely. I thought it was also compelling that they had that little bit where they walked in and Lexi Nair walked in and he was punching the mirror and kind of letting the mask slip a little bit. But it's going to be interesting. I wonder how much of this is. I wonder what they're like. They've got to have a plan to finish off this Death Riders thing. They got to have a long-term game here.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got so many players like Hangman and MJF. I hope they know what they're doing. But it'd be pretty cool. I mean, imagine Hanger and MJF having to team up against the Hurt Syndicate would be quite interesting.
That I don't want to see anyone really team up with MJF because he's such a scumbag, and he would turn on his partner in a dime. He's a selfish scumbag. Women's champion. Let's shift our attention over to the women's division overall. Women's champion, Timeless Toni Storm comes out. I don't know if you saw the little elements of this promo of the reflection off the ramp on both sides, the camera angle and all that reflection was just, I don't know if that was planned, but I was looking at those details. I'm like, that's so clever and so cool. You can kind of see it in your photo on the left there. But on both sides, you saw the reflection of Timeless Toni Storm. But cutting the promo, she's part of the zoo. She'll lick you like a giraffe and she'll bleed like a pig, but she's not
but the champ is still champ.
That's right. And I loved the flow of the promo. I loved the lighting of it. I think it was just perfect. And man, we did not see this coming because we projected Bane interfering with the titles and getting her title shot maybe weeks, if not months from now to gain more credibility. But she's inserting herself, Bane, in everything right now, as we saw with Timeless Toni Storm and the match between Penelope and Willow, at the end of that match, standing tall. So I think the presentation of Bane's debut and push per se has been perfect in a sense where often we have debuts that can kind of be questionable. You can have that high moment and then it kind of like a lull. But I feel like whoever's booking Bane's matches and her rise to dominance has been doing such a great job. What do you think?
Yeah, I got to ask the chat though, is it too soon? Is it too soon to be pushing Bane versus Tony Storm? Now, because I do think that that we got the Willow match in the where Willow and Penelope had an okay match but I think I would have expected a little bit more. But they were both great. I got to see Penelope is getting really back into her gymnastics and the arching the back. And Willow, of course, is always awesome to watch. I thought there was a very compelling moment because we had this confusion between Willow and Statlander, getting back together again. And of course, Penelope tried to attack Willow. Statlander went to protect her, and then Bane came in and destroyed both of them. And it's kind of like, okay, well, pick your feud. Is Bane going to now team with Penelope and go after them first, or are we strapping a rocket and are we just gonna shoot our wad, so to speak, and have Bane go after the world title so soon? I don't know if that's a smart move. I don't know if I like that, because one of two things: either Bane defeats Tony Storm and walks around with the belt without being able to cut a promo, or she's defeated by Tony Storm, and then so you've kind of wasted all this time building her up, so
I feel like I enjoy the fact that she's inserting herself in so many different areas that we see this feud, but I don't think when or if she does get the title shot, she's not going to get the belt. I don't think she's ready for the belt at the moment. And if she does get the title shot, I feel like it's going to be a multi-person match, so it protects her. And she'll say she's got the title shot and all that, but she won't have a clean loss per se.
Okay.
And then that can stretch it out a little bit longer, like a fatal four-way or a triple threat or whatever it may be. Because right now she's creating a lot of enemies with Willow, Statlander, Thunder, Tony. So there's no one clear target that she has. It's pretty much anyone that's in her way. And that's what I like about it. And so I don't think we're going to get a rush title. I hope and don't think we're going to get a rush title shot for her. And if so, I don't think we're going to see her the next champ anytime soon, which is fine. Like, we want to stretch her dominance out. And if she does lose in a multi-person match, it still protects her, continue dominance down the line. Then we'll see what happens with that. But the question I wanted to bring up, when we were talking about Beast Mortos, who do you think is, and I mean this in like the best way, like, I don't even want to say the word jobber, but who do you think the best worker is in AEW who consistently does not get a win? Like, Beast Mortos is definitely top of the list one of the top of my list.
I'd say Beast Mortos. Yeah, I'd say I think up until recently I would have said Commander, but he's kind of in Ring of Honor. He's now a champion. Commander's been up there. Because
there's a lot that
I could argue
the Butcher.
Matches, I could argue the Butcher when it comes to
the Butcher's one.
Serpentico, yeah, bless his heart. Serpentico is just so funny. Best, if you say best, that I include entertaining as well as putting on a compelling match. Yeah, Brian Keith is mentioned. They're not really jobbers. They're like enhanced secondary talent, but things could switch at any time. I think,
look at Harley. Look at the Guns. Look at like Willow. Like, all those were those go-to featured a lot workers that you almost any given night they could steal a win, but they never got the win. Like Beast Mortos is like so close. Like, this match for a debut, I felt like was so close, and Mortos looked like $1 million in it, but taking the L is fine. Like, he still looks great.
I think there is something to that. The Brent brings up Lee Moriarty. You look at some of these people we've named, like to your point, these are people that have lost a lot but are now champions. Lee Moriarty,
Right.
he's the pure champion at Ring of Honor. Or
Right.
and you've got all these, Deanna Purrazzo, but she got a bunch of wins over Thunder. I don't know. It's interesting to see, but the one thing I like is a lot of these folks that we've mentioned, when they have a match that we're pretty sure they're not going to win, they still show up to work. They still put out, they do a great job. And probably, arguably, the one recently that has been putting a lot of people over is the the best wrestler alive.
That's a good segue, and I didn't plan that, but it worked.
I actually think he's really been this open challenge that Max Caster has had. As you can see, this time it was Takeshita, a titleless Takeshita who basically had something to prove after losing his title. Max Caster, open challenge. Would you call him a jobber? Would you call him a stooge? Is he a geek?
What's his chant? He says he's at the best chant. Let's go, Max. You're the best wrestler alive, or whatever.
Yeah.
He said. I mean, if you look up the definition of a jobber, I mean, that pretty much says it, because you're getting beat by one move almost every single time you're in the match. And so within 30 seconds.
Sports entertainment. Best jobber alive.
I think, Steven, you said, where's Bowens? And maybe, I mean, I feel like he called that out, which is kind of going to make us more excited for that. He's like, clearly that's why I was the best member of the Acclaimed, or something along the lines he said last night about it. So that was kind of the first time in a while that he mentioned kind of the low blow with the Acclaimed. I mean, Billy Gunn and Bowens have been MIA for a while. So I feel like we're leading to that ultimate pop of that. But with this every single week, man, I don't know what to make of this. Like, he's getting a lot of time every week. So I don't dislike it, and I don't like it per se. So I'm like kind of indifferent with it.
It's almost like he's like paying penance for all the backstage he may or may not have had. Like, this is his way of, like, I don't know. There's something's weird about this, but hey, it's
right.
He put the take a shit in Takeshita. Stevie, he definitely did.
But drawers after that one.
What would be cool or compelling, of course, we're all wanting Bowens to show up, would be for Max to get someone like a Serpentico or somebody to answer the challenge, and then they get a win on him. Like Serpentico get his first win on TV, and everybody freak out, or John Cruz, or somebody like that. I think it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm so indifferent with this. I'm not sure what to think about it, and I'm curious of the end game of it. But I mean, I'm taking it for what it is and how it was, and like, I'm enjoying the moment. But it's a lot of TV time every single week that he's getting because of this Best Wrestler Alive Open Challenge on it. I missed the TNT title open challenge that Darby had, Cody had, others had. Like, I do miss that a lot. And I do love a good open challenge, because it gives you the surprise element of any given night. Anyone can come out there and have an awesome match. And I'm hoping for Caster to at least get some matches that are a little bit meaningful versus just getting, pulling the jobber card. That is it, being a jobber, getting, with that short of time. The main event we'll talk about, and I want to get your take on, what do you make of what's coming up next week's Dynamite with the world title? Actually, you know what? I want to talk about Jericho, because this is a big moment to me, because I feel like the last few weeks, Chris Jericho has been on another level with pushing deeper into the heel realm, and I love it. And I think this is what's needed. I think this is just another reignition of his ruthlessness and heel persona right now. and he's so smart. He knows when what cards he has in his hand and when to play them. And I feel like he's been holding on to like the card to turn it up, and now he's turning it up. And I still feel like the end game with Bandito is to dethrone him, hopefully, because both guys are on Team SPD. But I loved what we saw at Revolution. Yes, I would have enjoyed that extra point on my team for a victory, but I liked the story. I was like, this is great. This is great. This is exactly what you need to help turn up the heat for the Nueve. And just toying with taking the mask away and talking about his family, Gravity and Bandito's family. So I think this is a perfect execution by Jericho with what we saw at Revolution, and then continuing tonight with the promo.
I thought, yeah, absolutely. Alas, poor Gravity. I knew him well, Horatio. I knew him well. Great stuff. Just if we could take 10 seconds.
Oh, yes.
Everybody, just letting you know, Billy Starks going after TBS title. I think that's a setting the groundwork for what we all want is a fallen goddess dethroning the CEO. But you asked about the main event. If I could take lead on this one, because I'm a fan of both of these guys. I know how you feel about Orange Cassidy, but I'm a Hechicero fan as well.
He's
as
my
Orange
evil
Cassidy
brother.
fan. Yeah, he is. The chemistry that these two guys had was tremendous. I do like that Orange Cassidy is kind of going back to his more comedic wrestler ways. There was that time where he was being pushed as like the chosen one. Now he's kind of going back, and he seems to be having more fun with wrestling. And he had a lot of fun in this match. Hechicero had some great moments too. I hope we continue to see Hechicero come back as we get closer to Dynasty and then later Forbidden Door. But this was fantastic. Again, Orange Cassidy with the W. But Orange Cassidy wrestled a lot with his hands in his pockets this time again. And I think that's a sign that and the fact that he's got the Jane music again, I think we're going more towards, we're bringing back the more fun Orange Cassidy. It's more of a cutie orange rather than orange with pulp, if that makes sense.
So I'm glad you said that, because, as much as a hard critic I can be on Orange Cassidy, while I was watching the pre-show buy-in show at Revolution, I was like, this is the OC that I like. This is actually one I really enjoy, and I really can get behind. I'm happy. Like, to me, that's his place. Like, he can put on these awesome matches with people that I'm surprised with and am very impressed with. And however, I feel like his niche is that comedic mix of good comedy wrestling plus impressive wrestling with his moveset that he has. He has a good moveset in his arsenal. And when the comedic stuff that we were seeing on that buy-in show, I was like, okay, this is perfectly placed on the show before the main card starts, and with all the other gimmick wrestlers and gimmick stuff. Like, you take it for a grain of salt, and I was thoroughly entertained with that match. And I think because of Orange Cassidy, the way he was throughout that whole match was a reason why. And this is another one of those things, like the blend of wrestlers that he's been able to go against and have these mixed matches, when he gets his serious moments and can turn it up, like what he did with Mox and all that, like that was fine. I did enjoy a little bit of that, but I think I'm just OC fatigued with the unnecessary push he gets.
Well, yeah,
I want him to earn his push more.
I got you.
That's what's personally, I just feel like Silver Spoon, a lot of stuff, but he has proven himself, so I shouldn't be as hard on him. However, I think like him, where he's at with the comedic stuff, mix of good wrestling and not in any immediate title picture, is good in my opinion. So, but he is going to be in the Fatal 4-Way for the international title. So now Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy is a match I do not really care to see. There's about 1,000 other ones that I would like to see, including Max Caster versus Kenny Omega over Orange Cassidy. So he's been there, done that with the title, and he was a pretty convincing champion. but been there, done that, and it's not a match I'd want to see on the card
Well,
personally.
you mentioned fatigue. I think I've got Death Riders fatigue,
Okay.
and I don't understand this, but again, I also am not going to turn down a steak dinner if it's given to me. Well, I guess I have to now because I'm on the liquid diet. But what I mean is, is like what's this? Unless Josh Alexander joins the Death Riders and shows up and beats up Cope. I don't know. I don't know because I keep going back to the end of Revolution, and like I actually wanted the ending to be Christian winning as he's being choked out by Moxley pinning Cope. I would have laughed, I would have howled.
Me too. I agree.
But I do like that they had Swerve, of course, doing the Batman thing, but it would have been
awesome
it would have been great to have Christian as the world champion. I think that would have been funny. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be. Yeah, I guess maybe this is the match they were supposed to have in Revolution, but Osprey and Fletcher and Tony Storm and Mariah May used up all the blood, so they couldn't get bloody until this week. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this. And does Cope walk away with the belt, or do the Death Riders show up, come back? What's going to happen? I'm just kind of I something needs to happen. I like Steven's idea though, because I do hope Jay White gets involved and costs Cope the match, and the Bang Bang Gang rides again. I hope that's what the plan is, but we'll see.
A lot of layers to this for me. So I feel like this is an opportunity to, I don't even want to say it, but I can't think of a better analogy, to right the wrongs of Revolution. And not that it was wrong. Like, I felt like the match was fine, and it wasn't going to be a steel show match because of the depth of the card. But I did feel like this match was fine for what it was. And I liked the fact, the element of Christian Cage. I thought that added so much more, protected Cope and got Cage more relevant after we saw in his promo, and he was pissed off and calling it all, like, the ref didn't do his job and all this, and he didn't tap out. And so it was really funny in typical heel complainer fashion. However, to be able to right the wrongs, there's a couple options, a couple ways that to go. In order, I feel like, to revamp the Death Riders for both you and others, and maybe even including me a little, you have to have the Death Riders show back up healthy for 1, new members for 2, total beatdown for 3 near the end, and or you do have the Bang Bang Gang costing Cope the title. So you either have go that direction, the Death Riders getting more numbers and beating them up and then coming back healthy and then kind of just regaining that steam, or you have, if you do have Jay White costing him and turning heel, and the Bang Bang Gang reforming and turning heel, then you immediately have a Cope feud with the Bang Bang Gang, which is something we really definitely want. But you need to have a direction. If you do that, you need to have something with the Death Riders. You can't have Moxley just take the title and run away with by himself. Like, him by himself is not as compelling, in my opinion, with the Death Rider, without the Death Riders. So something needs to happen with him and his squad. I don't want him to grab his suitcase or his briefcase and run, kind of like a scolded dog, tucking his tail and going. So something in terms of that element redemption would be great for this. So I'm excited for it. I really am. I'm glad that this feud is not over, and I'm hoping that this will get the excitement that it deserved, because FTR turning heel, man, I don't know, because I mean, yes, they've been kind of leaning that way a little bit, but would that be a total double swerve of FTR turning heel and Jay White staying babyface? Like, that would be a total double swerve.
I mean, rated FTR is still such a thing,
Yeah, then you'd have rated FCR versus going to heel Bang Bang Gang, and that's proven to be, the Guns versus FTR have an awesome feud, and then you immediately have those like trios, which the trios division is starting to grow more depth, even better, and so I don't know what of those ideas that I'm throwing, are any of those could help with the redemption of the Death Riders for you?
I I I have to see. I have and I hate to say that's such a cop out answer, but I have to see it because you can take like I think the Death Riders on storyline on paper is actually good. I just don't think it's been executed well.
Sure.
And I think that and I think it's been kind of I think there's been some throwing stuff at the wall lately with it. Like and I think I think you could the only way to yeah, Deb's right. It's kind of gotten old without any kind of clear story arc. Like it's kind of like imagine if Marvel had kept teasing Thanos, but you never had Endgame. Or you never had Infinity War where he won.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would have been. I actually think it would have been compelling if nobody interfered and Moxley beat Cope straight up. And then everybody was like, who's going to be the one? I still think Swerve and Hangman are going to have to unite. I mean, if you want to get me excited about it, then you got to have book Death Riders versus Team AEW for the soul of AEW and have it Swerve lead a team and have to work with Hangman and maybe have to recruit MJF to be the fifth member. And then you've got a very compelling, thing, whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm curious to how we're going to talk next week on our next week's episode of what happened. Or I know you won't be there, Mind Runner, but I'll have a guest host with me for it. But you'll be there in spirit. Maybe you'll be in the chat chatting with us up depending on how you are. But
depends on the painkillers.
Yeah, this is going to be. I feel I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for redemption of this, and I'm really hopeful that it doesn't necessarily mean Cope's going to win the title, but I'm hopeful for redemption of the story where we're all just like, oh my gosh,
I like this idea. Hang on. I like this idea right here.
We need more people.
I like Sammy Guevara. And if you want me to get me on a rant here, why don't we have Sammy Guevara? Please, if we've got Speedball Mike Bailey now in here, let's get Sammy versus Speedball. I want Sammy back on my Dynamite. I want Sammy back on my Collision. I want Ty back in the women's division. I mean, come on. You guys are teasing me so much. Granted, Sammy and Dustin are killing it on Ring of Honor. They're awesome. I'm hoping we better have some awesome stuff planned for y'all in Texas with those guys, with the Sons of Texas. I definitely want that. But you got to get the crazy one. The crazy one has got to be on board. We got to get him back on our TV. Again, I know maybe whatever they've got planned, they know so much more than us viewers on this side. But you got to have the guy that gave Cody Rhodes his best farewell match when he left AEW with that ladder match. You got to bring him back in here, get him in the mix, get him in the Owen tournament. We need our Sammy back and he better be at Norfolk, because once again, we're going to be that whole section cheering for Sammy against Bryan Danielson like we did. Yeah. Fight Jericho. Please do take him out. Wouldn't that be cool? Because, Sammy is on Ring of Honor and we have the Nueve as the Ring of Honor champion. What if Bandito needs the Sons of Texas to back him up and we get that Sammy and Jericho face to face?
You're right.
Oh, right here. Let's bring him back in.
You mentioned it briefly, like before we wrap for the night, but like, does this feud with the Moxley and the Death Riders and all that, do you think we are going to eventually see a blood and guts style match with the Death
like to
Riders
see it.
once they get back in motion. Like, could that be if Jay White doesn't turn or whatever? Could you see a Cope FTR Jay White versus the Death Riders and then a turn there? Like, do you think we're going to get that sooner than later? Any kind of Death Rider versus Team AEW Blood and Guts? Would you want to see that, or do you think we'll see that?
I want to see that. I think that that's what they should do. That should be the blow off for the Death Riders, and then that should be it. Is the Death Riders versus a team of 5, AEW folks, and like I think it could be Swerve, Osprey, Hangman, maybe Jay White. I don't know. Or you have, I don't know. It depends on what Cope's doing. But yeah, I think that's the final blow off, and then you move on from it, and then you move on to to prepare for Y'all In,
which we're still potentially going to be going down there for Texas. I got my cowboy boots already. They are, I got them right here. So mind if you don't have any cowboy boots, you better get yours ready. I don't have a cowboy hat yet, but then we're going to make a decision probably sometime end of April-ish to see if we're going to pull the trigger to go down to Y'all In. But that would be quite the trip, an epic one, man. I would love it.
I'm going to be dressed like Boss Hog, and I'll be going to every barbecue place in Texas.
That's right. I know a few good ones, and we'll ask our crew and to see if anyone could send us some great recommendations down there in the Dallas area. But y'all, thank you so much. We're wrapping up episode 175 for the night. We appreciate y'all in the chat and joining us. And make sure to tune in next Thursday, 10 o'clock, our new time slot, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard for episode 176. And we'll post all on our socials of the updated draft season 5 rankings as well, which Sammy just got added to our the +3. Whose team is he on, Mind Runner, for our draft?
Sammy is on +3. He is part of team. Didn't you grab him?
Oh yeah, I did. I'm sorry. He's on Team SPD.
He's on your team.
I need him on AEW television to start getting me some points.
Because
even though I'm in second place.
Saw me get Dustin, and you're like,
that's true.
All right, I gotta take Sammy before Aaron gets it. Yeah,
that's right. So here's as we wrap up. This is our fantasy draft season 5. We're going to all the way to Double or Nothing, 1 point per win on AEW television on Dynamite or Collision. SPD is nipping at the top spot there. We just added 3 new members for our team, so each team has 13 wrestlers, and we're going all the way to Double or Nothing. I can't wait to see how this one pans out.
It's going to be awesome. And again, Steven, don't get comfortable, dude. You know, we're all coming for you, dude. Awesome.
Have a good night, y'all.
Good night,
Thanks
y'all.
for seeing you.
And we'll mosey on out of here.